It's important that you lay a good foundation for your keyboard playing, one which enables you to play skillfully with little effort and no pain. There isn't just one single correct way of playing, so I will be sharing with you what I consider to be the standard basics. Nearly every keyboard player will continue to refine their technique throughout their lives. A lot of people start keyboard lessons with endless technical exercises and they want to get everything just right. I prefer to play music, real music, first, and then we'll refine our technique as we go. The best position to play the keyboard is a natural position. If you allow yourself to stand nice and tall and you're completely relaxed and your body is free of any tension, you are in the perfect keyboard playing position. You will notice that hunching your back or raising your shoulders or curling your fingers or bending at your wrists all feels very uncomfortable and unnatural. Doing that in your keyboard playing will inhibit you from playing your instrument as well as you should. Always revert to this natural position when you play. Let's look at how you sit when you're playing the keyboard. The first thing is to make sure that you sit tall. You also need to check your distance from the instrument. So if you're playing the piano, the best thing to do is to stretch your arms out. And now you need to ensure that your knuckles touch the fretboard if your arms are straight. This is going to enable you to access the whole instrument. So if you need to play the high notes, she can play the high notes. And if you need to play low notes, good. And if you need to play both high and low notes, yes, you can easily reach. Okay, good. You don't want to be too close to the keyboard, and you don't want to be too far from the keyboard either. You also need to ensure that you sit on the front half of your stool. So if you divide this into two, you want to make sure that you're sitting on this side of the stool rather than on this side. It's also important to make sure that your stool is nice and firm. You don't want to be sitting on cushions or anything that's not very stable. It's also important to check that your stool is the correct height. Right, so you want to make sure that the elbows are in line with the keys. You don't want the elbow to be too low and you don't want the elbow to be too high either. The last thing when sitting is to make sure that your feet are flat on the floor. If your feet cannot reach the floor, you may use a footrest like the one Amy has. Amy, show them how your feet must be on the footrest. Good. Now show them the wrong way. We don't want your feet dangling. Let's talk about hand position. If you drop your arm to the side, just let it hang loose. That is your piano hand position. You don't need to change it at all. So you don't need to make your hand round. You don't need to curl your fingers. Just drop it to the side. Make sure there's no tension at all in your arms or in your fingers. And you just bring up your hand to the keys as it is. and it's ready to play. Remember, in a natural position, you don't bend at the wrist. So when you're playing the keyboard, you don't want to be playing like this, and certainly not like this. This in particular is a disaster waiting to happen. Now, a lot of people think that we play the piano only with our fingers. While the fingers do need to be mobile, we actually play the piano with our entire body. So if I wanted to play loud, you'd probably see my trunk move as well towards the piano. I use my upper arm to play. I use my forearm as well to play, in some cases like this, and in some instances I rotate my forearm. So for instance, if I wanted to play 5 notes from G to C, all I need to do is to rotate my arm and I can play them like that. I can also use my wrist and play from my wrist, and of course the fingers. Let's play using our middle finger. So our middle finger is the longest of our 5 fingers. Once this finger has played a note, we need to release any tension that we might have in our arm. I usually tell people to let the wrist float off the keys. So you play, release, play, release, play, release. Always, when your hand comes down, it's important to ensure that you still have this beautiful natural arch in your hand. Now I'm going to invite Amy to come and create some beautiful sounds with me on the black keys using finger 3 and all the techniques we've discussed so far.